the psychological truth about your sperm. You've probably heard a story about your sperm. It's always a biological story, right? A story about numbers, how fast they swim, and what shape they're in. A story about passing on your genes, told in sterile clinics and biology classrooms. It's all about a mechanical process, a factory that never stops, churning out somewhere around 1,500 sperm every single second. It's a story about mechanics, not about meaning. But that's not the whole story. It's not even the most important part of the story for your day-to-day life. What if I told you that the biggest impact of your sperm isn't biological, but psychological? That it carries this profound weight that shapes your emotions, your identity, your relationships, and even your sense of peace in the world? This isn't about how to make a baby. This is about the silent, invisible pressures and griefs that men carry, often without even knowing how to talk about them. This is the story of how ancient ideas about strength and modern cultural pressures have teamed up to leave men feeling emotionally isolated, struggling with a burden they're not even supposed to admit they have. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on that hidden reality. We're going to explore the psychological truth about your sperm, and in doing so, find a new path, not just to understanding, but to a real, lasting inner peace. Think about the last time you felt a deep, unspoken pressure, a pressure to perform, to be strong, to provide, to live up to some invisible standard of what a man is supposed to be. Now, what if a huge part of that pressure, that quiet anxiety just humming in the background of your life, is connected to something as basic as the cells you produce every single day? It's a wild thought, because we've been taught to see sperm as purely functional. But the truth is, for so many men, it's tied to the very core of their identity, their virility, their value, their legacy. And when questions, doubts, or struggles pop up in this area, it doesn't just create a medical problem, it creates a deep psychological crisis that most men suffer through in complete silence. Section: The Unspoken Grief and the Stoic Mask. Let's talk about a guy we'll call Mark. Mark is a mix of countless men whose stories are shared in hushed tones, usually in clinics or therapists' offices, but almost never out in the open. Mark and his partner have been trying to start a family for a couple of years. The fun and excitement have slowly turned into a quiet, constant anxiety. The doctor's appointments began, and at first, the focus was mostly on his partner, as it so often is. But then, the spotlight swung over to him. The tests, the numbers, the cold, clinical language, low motility, abnormal morphology. Suddenly, Mark was carrying a weight he never saw coming. It wasn't just a medical diagnosis. It felt like a judgment, a verdict on his masculinity. He felt a huge sense of failure, a shame that was as powerful as it was confusing. This is an incredibly common experience. When faced with infertility, men often report feeling inadequate, guilty, and like they've lost a piece of themselves, because society so often links being a man directly to the ability to have kids. It's a type of grief that's hard to put into words. It's not the loss of a person, but the loss of a future he always just assumed was his. He was grieving the life he had pictured in his head. But here's where Mark's story takes a turn that is way too common. He didn't talk about it. Not really. To his partner, he tried to be supportive and pragmatic. He'd say things like, "We'll figure it out," or "It is what it is." To his friends, he said nothing at all. He put on the mask of the stoic, resilient man. Stoicism, the ancient Greek philosophy, teaches emotional control and accepting things you can't change. But today, that philosophy has been twisted into a simple, damaging rule for men. Be strong, don't complain, and whatever you do, don't show your emotions. This pressure to be stoic, to act like nothing bothers you, is a massive cultural force. From the time they're little, boys are often told to man up, hide their tears, and push down feelings of sadness, fear, and vulnerability. This is backed up by every movie with a strong, silent type, creating this idea that showing emotion is a sign of weakness. So Mark did what he thought he had to do. He bottled it all up. He didn't want to be a burden. He didn't want to seem like less of a man. The psychological price for this is huge. When you push emotions down, they don't just vanish, they fester. Shame can turn into depression. Frustration and failure can come out as anger or irritability. Just trying to keep a calm face is mentally and physically draining, leading to chronic stress and burnout. For Mark, this meant pulling away from his partner, not because he didn't love her, but because being close to her felt too close to the source of his shame. He buried himself in work, using it as a distraction. He started drinking a bit more than he used to. These are classic ways of coping by numbing or escaping the emotional pain that feels too scary to face head-on. This is the trap of the modern, misunderstood Stoic ideal. The philosophy was originally about intelligently managing your emotions, not pretending they don't exist. But for countless men like Mark, it has become a psychological cage that leads to deep isolation. Research shows that men often avoid talking about fertility problems with friends and family because it brings up a lot of stress and fear of being judged. This silence is a heavy burden, and it's a key reason why so many men suffer alone, convinced that their struggle is a personal failure instead of a shared human experience. The very thing they think is making them look strong, their emotional control, is actually the source of their deepest vulnerability and pain. Section: The Biology of Emotion, How Your Mind Shapes Your Sperm. For the longest time, we saw the mind and the body as two completely separate things. Your thoughts and feelings were over here, and your physical health was over there. But we now know, with total scientific certainty, that this is just wrong. Your psychological state has a direct, measurable impact on your physical biology. And nowhere is this connection more intimate and, for many, more surprising than in the link between your mind and your sperm. Let's go back to that feeling of pressure and anxiety we talked about, the kind of stress Mark was going through. This isn't just some vague emotional state. It sets off a chain reaction in your body. When you experience psychological stress from work, life events, or the specific anxiety around fertility, your brain tells your adrenal glands to pump out cortisol, the famous stress hormone. For a short burst of stress, this is actually a good thing for survival. But when stress becomes chronic, which it is for so many men today, your body is basically swimming in these stress hormones. And this has a very real effect on the male reproductive system. Multiple studies have shown a clear link between high levels of psychological stress and lower quality semen. Specifically, stress is tied to lower sperm concentration, worse motility, how well the sperm can swim, and more abnormally shaped sperm. How does this happen? A couple of things are going on. First, stress hormones can directly mess with the signals that control sperm production, a process called spermatogenesis. Imagine a factory where the supervisors are getting drowned out by constant alarm bells. The hormones that should be giving clear instructions for making sperm, like testosterone, get disrupted by the non-stop stress response. This can lower both the quantity and quality of production. The second major factor is something called oxidative stress. This happens when your body has too many unstable molecules called free radicals and not enough antioxidants to clean them up. Psychological stress is known to ramp up oxidative stress, and the testes are especially vulnerable. Sperm cells are really sensitive to this kind of damage. It can harm their DNA, mess up their cell membranes, and make it harder for them to move and fertilize an egg. So the mental stress you feel in your head is creating a physically stressful environment for your sperm. Now, the connection isn't always a straight line. Some studies have pointed out that not all stress is the same, and the impact might be stronger in men who already have some fertility issues. One study even found a weird twist. Sperm motility might briefly increase right after a stressful event, maybe as an evolutionary Hail Mary to boost fertility in tough times. But this doesn't change the overwhelming evidence that chronic psychological stress is bad news. Even the stress of just having to provide a semen sample for a fertility test has been shown to negatively affect the quality of that sample, which shows you just how immediate the mind-body connection can be. This link between your mental state and sperm health goes beyond just stress. Depression has also been connected to poorer semen quality. And interestingly, how well you sleep seems to play a big role as a buffer. One study found that the negative link between depression and sperm quality was especially strong in men who slept less than 7 hours a night. It looks like good, solid sleep might help protect against some of the harmful biological effects of mental health struggles. What does all this mean? It means that the advice to just relax when trying to conceive, which can be super frustrating to hear, is actually based on a deep biological truth. The stress, anxiety, and depression that so often come with fertility struggles and just modern life in general aren't just in your head. They create a physiological reality in your body that can actively work against your goals. This isn't about blaming anyone. It's about empowerment. Realizing this connection is the first step to understanding that managing your mental and emotional health isn't some secondary, soft skill. It is a fundamental part of your physical health, your reproductive health, and your overall well-being. It changes the conversation from one of failure and shame to one of holistic health, where taking care of your mind is one of the most powerful things you can do to take care of your body. Section 3, the echoes of the past, generational impact. So we've looked at how your mind, right now, can affect your biology. But what if the story goes even deeper? What if the things you went through in your past, even from way back in your childhood, are still physically present inside you, written into the very cells that carry your genetic legacy? This isn't some sci-fi plot. This is the fascinating and slightly unnerving field of epigenetics, and it's totally changing how we understand the way trauma and stress can echo through generations. To get this, we need to quickly separate genetics from epigenetics. Your genetics, your DNA, is like the hardware in a computer, the basic code. Epigenetics, on the other hand, is like the software. It doesn't change the code itself, but it adds little chemical tags to the DNA that tell your genes when to switch on or off. Think of it like putting a dimmer on a light switch without rewiring the house. These epigenetic markers can be shaped by your environment, your lifestyle, and most powerfully, by your experiences. Recent research has made a jaw-dropping discovery. Stressful and traumatic experiences in childhood can leave a lasting epigenetic signature on a man's sperm. A study in the journal Molecular Psychiatry looked at men who had experienced a lot of trauma as kids and found that their sperm had a different epigenetic profile compared to men who had less trauma. These changes were found in specific markers that act like those dimmer switches on genes. And what's really key is that these differences were still there even after scientists accounted for other things like smoking or drinking, pointing to the deep, lasting mark of early life stress. So what does this mean? It means the trauma isn't just a bad memory stored in your brain. It gets written into the biological instructions a man can pass on. The parts of the DNA that were affected in these studies are involved in really important jobs, like brain development. The research suggests that these epigenetic changes in sperm could potentially shape how the central nervous system develops in the next generation. Let's just let that sink in for a second. The fear, neglect, or instability a boy goes through can actually alter the molecular recipe of his sperm decades later, potentially influencing the brain development of a child he hasn't even had yet. This gives us a possible biological roadmap for how intergenerational trauma works, how the wounds of a father can, in a very real sense, be passed to his kids, not just through behavior, but through biology. This field is still new, and scientists are careful to say that more research is needed to fully prove this kind of inheritance in humans. But the evidence is powerful and growing. Animal studies have already shown that stress in males can change their sperm and affect the health and behavior of their babies. These new human studies are the first steps toward confirming a similar process is happening in us. This discovery completely reframes how we think about men's health and responsibility. It suggests that a man's life experiences don't just belong to him. They are woven into his very being in a way that can have consequences for the future. This isn't about creating a new thing to feel guilty or anxious about. It's about deepening our appreciation for the profound impact of our life story and the importance of healing. It tells us that dealing with mental health, healing from past trauma, and creating safe, stable homes for kids isn't just a social or psychological goal, it's a biological one. It highlights how incredibly important it is to break cycles of trauma. When a man goes to therapy to work through his childhood, when he develops healthy ways to cope, when he builds a life of safety and stability, he might not just be healing himself. He might also be changing the biological legacy he passes on. He is, in a very real way, protecting the future. This knowledge takes the conversation about sperm way beyond simple counts and motility scores. It gives it a history and a future. It tells us that these microscopic cells aren't just carrying a genetic code. They are sensitive archives of a man's life journey. They carry the echoes of the past, and understanding this gives us an even more profound reason to fight for a healthier, more emotionally whole present. Section 4. The Modern Man's Burden, Daily Pressures and Perceptions. We've gone into the deep past with epigenetics and the internal biology of stress. Now, let's bring it into the bright and often harsh light of the 21st century. The modern world has mixed up a unique cocktail of pressures that weigh heavily on men, often in silence, and these pressures feed directly into the psychological and biological loops we've been talking about. The perfect man ideal is a crushing mix of competing expectations. Be a sensitive, hands-on dad, but also a ruthless, successful provider. Have the perfect body, a great career, and fit into traditional masculine stereotypes, all at the same time. This constant pressure fuels a low-grade stress that becomes the background noise for many men's lives. Think about the modern workplace. Many professional jobs are breeding grounds for chronic stress. Long hours, high stakes, and a culture that often treats your performance as your identity create what's known as a masculinity contest culture, where men feel like they constantly have to prove their toughness and dedication. This can lead to burnout, anxiety, and depression. And as we know, this psychological strain isn't just an emotional issue. It can directly harm sperm quality. A man might look calm and in control on the outside, living up to that Stoic ideal, but inside, his body is swimming in stress hormones that can mess with sperm production. Then there's the huge influence of pornography. For decades, porn has shaped how many men think about sex, virility, and performance. It often shows a completely unrealistic standard of male sexuality, focusing on erection, stamina, and how much you ejaculate as the main signs of masculinity. This can create intense performance anxiety. Men start judging their own bodies and experiences against these fake ideals, leading to feelings of being not good enough if they don't measure up. This anxiety can then become a self-fulfilling prophecy, leading to issues like erectile dysfunction or other sexual problems, which are deeply tied to psychological distress and depression. The focus on ejaculation as the main event also reinforces a purely mechanical view of sperm, separating it from intimacy and connection and turning it into just a proof of performance. This brings us to the wider societal story about fertility. Even though male factors are involved in about half of all infertility cases, the cultural conversation, and often the first medical appointments, still focuses way more on women. Infertility is often seen as a woman's issue. This can leave men feeling pushed to the side, ignored, and alone in their struggle. In many cultures, not being able to father children is seen as a direct hit to a man's manhood, a source of deep personal shame and social stigma. This cultural story forces many men into silence because they're afraid that talking about their infertility will make them seem less manly or weak. On top of all these psychological pressures are lifestyle choices. It's no secret that things like smoking, drinking too much, a bad diet, and not moving enough can hurt sperm quality. But it's important to see how these choices are often linked to mental health. A man who is dealing with chronic stress or buried depression is more likely to turn to unhealthy ways of coping. That extra drink after a hard day, relying on junk food for comfort, not having the motivation to exercise, these aren't just bad habits. They are often symptoms of a deeper psychological struggle. They are attempts to deal with emotional pain. So we have a vicious cycle. Societal and work pressures create stress. That stress can lead to unhealthy lifestyle choices. Both the stress itself and the lifestyle it causes have a negative biological impact on sperm health. And if fertility issues show up, they kick off even more shame, anxiety, and depression, which then makes the stress even worse, and the cycle just keeps going. This is the daily reality for countless men. It's a heavy, complicated burden. It's the pressure to succeed, the anxiety of performance, the shame of feeling like a failure, the isolation of silence, and the physical toll of it all. Understanding this modern world is key. It shows us that the psychological truth about sperm isn't some isolated internal thing. It is deeply connected to the world we live in, the expectations we face, and the stories we're told about what it means to be a man. Breaking free from this cycle takes more than just a biological fix. It takes a conscious choice to challenge these pressures and redefine what strength means for ourselves. Section: Beyond Stoicism, a new definition of strength. For generations, we've been handed a very specific idea of what masculine strength looks like. It's a model built on a warped version of Stoicism, the idea that strength is being able to suffer in silence, to control and push down your emotions, to be an unbreakable fortress. Society has often clapped for men who fit this mold. We praise the guy who is rock solid, who doesn't crack under pressure, who handles everything without a single complaint. But as we've seen, when it comes to the deep personal struggles around fertility, identity, and mental health, this model of strength isn't just unhelpful, it's actively dangerous. The Stoic mask, the pressure to act tough and unfazed, is a trap. It promises control, but it delivers isolation. It promises strength, but it creates a hidden fragility. When a man feels like he can't show sadness, fear, or vulnerability, he's cut off from his own emotional world and from the support of the people who care about him. He's left to fight his demons alone, in the dark. Pushing down emotions doesn't make problems go away. It just forces them underground, where they get bigger and meaner, showing up as chronic stress, anxiety, depression, or anger. Research confirms that this suppression is linked to a ton of negative things, including worse mental health, physical problems like heart disease, and trouble building and keeping real relationships. True strength isn't the absence of emotion. It's the courage to actually engage with it. It's time for a new definition of strength, one that ditches the brittle armor of stoicism and embraces a more whole, resilient masculinity. This new strength is built on emotional literacy. It's the ability, first and foremost, to just recognize what you're feeling. So many men are taught not to talk about their emotions that they lose the ability to even identify them inside themselves. Sadness might just feel like being tired, and fear might feel like being irritable. Emotional literacy is the work of just pausing and asking, what's actually going on inside me right now? Don't judge the answer, just notice it. Is it anxiety, frustration, sadness, hope? It's learning to name your feelings, shame, grief, fear, disappointment, without judging yourself for having them. This isn't weakness, it's self-awareness, and self-awareness is the foundation of any real control and power. From this awareness comes a new kind of strength: vulnerability. Vulnerability has been mislabeled as a weakness, but it's actually where connection and courage are born. It's the act of letting your real self be seen. It's the guts to say to your partner, "I'm scared about this," or "I feel like I've failed." It's the courage to admit to a friend, "I'm not okay." This act of opening up does something amazing. It breaks the spell of isolation. It lets others in, turning a personal burden into a shared one. It builds trust and deepens intimacy, because you can't have a real connection when one person is hiding behind a mask. This leads to the third pillar of this new strength: seeking support. The old Stoic model says, handle it yourself. The new model understands that true resilience is built with others. Seeking support, whether it's from a partner, friends, a support group, or a professional therapist, is not admitting defeat. It's a proactive, smart move of self-care. It's realizing you don't have all the answers, and that using the wisdom and kindness of others is a sign of intelligence, not weakness. More and more, clinics and mental health professionals are seeing the psychological toll of these issues and are creating spaces for men to talk openly and manage the stress, depression, and anxiety that come with them. Ultimately, this redefinition of strength is about integration, not suppression. It's about accepting that you can be both strong and sad. You can be resilient and afraid. You can be a provider and a protector, and be a man who needs comfort and support. True inner peace doesn't come from winning an internal war against your emotions, but from calling a truce. It comes from bringing all parts of yourself, your logic and your feelings, your strength and your vulnerability, into one coherent whole. This isn't about throwing out the good parts of stoicism, resilience, self-discipline, focusing on what you can control. It's about ditching the toxic, twisted version that demands you deny your feelings. The strongest man isn't the one who feels nothing. He is the one who feels everything and has the courage and the tools to navigate those feelings with honesty and grace. That is the new path to inner peace. Section 6. The Path to Inner Peace. Actionable Steps. Understanding the psychological weight of your sperm, the impact of stress, and the limits of outdated Stoic ideals is a huge first step. It shifts the frame from shame to awareness. But awareness without action can still feel powerless. So how do you turn this new understanding into a real path toward inner peace and well-being? It starts with small, intentional, and consistent habits that help you reconnect with yourself and change your approach to these challenges. Here are some concrete, actionable steps you can take to walk this new path. 1. Practice emotional check-ins and journaling. The journey starts by building your emotional literacy. You can't process what you can't identify. Set aside 5 minutes every day, maybe in the morning or before bed, to do an emotional check-in. Just sit quietly and ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Don't judge the answer, just notice it. Is it anxiety, frustration, sadness, hope? Take this a step further with journaling. You don't need to write a novel. Pull down your thoughts and feelings. This does two things. First, it gets the thoughts out of the chaotic echo chamber of your mind and onto paper, which can make them feel more manageable. Second, it helps you see patterns over time. You might notice your stress spikes on certain days, or that specific thoughts trigger feelings of shame. This is priceless information for understanding yourself. A few prompts to get you started. What pressure am I feeling today, and where is it coming from? What's one thing I'm worried about that I haven't said out loud? When did I feel strong today? What did that feel like? What's a kinder way I can talk to myself about my struggles? 2. Reframe the narrative through mindful self-talk. The voice in your head is incredibly powerful. For many men, that inner voice is a harsh critic, repeating damaging stories about failure and not being good enough. It's time to consciously rewrite that script. When you catch yourself thinking, I'm failing at this, or I'm not man enough, just pause. Acknowledge the thought, and then gently challenge it with a kinder, more accurate reframe. For example, instead of, this is my fault, try, this is a medical situation I'm navigating and it doesn't define my worth. Instead of, I have to be strong for my partner, try, the strongest thing I can do for my partner is be honest about how I'm feeling so we can face this together. Instead of, I'm broken, try, my body is dealing with a lot right now, and I need to support it with care and patience. This isn't about lying to yourself. It's about switching from a story of shame to one of self-compassion and resilience. 3. Open a channel of communication. Silence fuels shame and isolation. The most powerful step you can take is to break that silence. Choose one person you trust, your partner, a close friend, a family member, and share a small piece of what you're going through. You don't have to spill everything at once. I've been feeling a lot of pressure about us starting a family lately, and it's been tough. I got some test results that were hard to hear, and I'm still trying to process them. Can we talk about how we support each other through this? Sometimes I feel like I have to hide how stressed I am. Opening this door lets support flow in and instantly lightens the load. For your partner, hearing your vulnerability can be a relief, building a deeper connection instead of creating a burden. Core, proactively manage stress, holistically. Since we know that psychological stress has a direct biological impact, managing that stress is a primary health strategy. This is more than just trying to relax. Physical activity. Regular exercise, even just a 30-minute walk, is one of the best ways to lower stress hormones and boost your mood. Find something you enjoy and make it a non-negotiable part of your week. Mindfulness and breath work. You don't have to become a Zen master. Simple mindfulness exercises like focusing on your breath for 3 minutes can calm your nervous system down. Box breathing is a great one. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and hold for 4. Repeat. Prioritize sleep. As we've seen, quality sleep is a powerful shield against the negative effects of stress and depression on your body. Aim for 7 to 9 hours a night. Improve your sleep by cutting down on screen time before bed and making your room cool, dark, and quiet. Nutrition. A balanced diet full of antioxidants can help fight the oxidative stress that damages sperm. Focus on whole foods, fruits, vegetables, and healthy fats. This is about nourishing your body, not punishing it. 5. Seek professional guidance. There is incredible strength in asking for help. A therapist or counselor can give you tools and strategies for managing stress, anxiety, and depression in a safe, confidential space. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, for example, is really effective at helping people spot and change negative thought patterns. Likewise, a urologist or fertility specialist can give you accurate medical information and treatment options, which can get rid of the anxiety that comes from the unknown. Joining a support group, either online or in person, can also be incredibly validating, connecting you with other men who actually get what you're going through. This path isn't a quick fix, it's a practice. It's a commitment to a more honest, compassionate, and whole way of living. Each small step you take, every journal entry, every honest conversation, every healthy choice, is an act of redefining strength. It's an act of reclaiming your inner peace, not by building higher walls, but by having the courage to finally take them down. We started this journey by challenging the simple biological story about sperm. We've discovered that its real meaning lies not just in its function, but in its deep connection to our minds, our pasts, and our deepest sense of who we are. We've seen how the invisible weight of what society expects, the mask of stoicism and the biology of stress, create a silent struggle for countless men, a struggle filled with grief, shame, and isolation. But we've also found a new path forward, a path that redefines strength, not as bottling up your feelings, but as having the courage to face them. A path that empowers you with the knowledge that taking care of your mental health is a direct way of taking care of your physical health. A path paved with real steps, self-awareness, honest talk, and holistic self-care that can lead you out of the shadows of silent suffering and into a place of genuine inner peace. The psychological truth about your sperm is not a burden you have to carry. An invitation to understand yourself more deeply, to connect more genuinely with others, and to build a more resilient and compassionate relationship with yourself. It is a form of self-mastery that has nothing to do with being invincible and everything to do with being whole. If this conversation resonated with you, please share it. The more we can break the silence around these topics, the more men we can help move from being isolated to being connected. And I want to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing from this script that changed your perspective.